Soul is fire. From a slow simmer to a beautiful braise. Soul is sweet perfection and salty, spicy, saucy goodness. Soul is buttery smooth, melt in your mouth, and oh my. Discover our soul in Jackson, Mississippi, the city with soul.
Welcome back. This season is already off to a great start. Enjoy the conversation. Let's go get some napkins dirty.
Let's get to it.
What's up, y'all? It's your girl, comedian Rita Brent.
Shokwe Antar Lumumba.
Hey, it's Tamara Sharif.
Nick Wallace.
Hi, I'm Dan.
And I'm Dan's partner, Jeff Good.
This
boy Boo Rossini.
Until next time, it's your host, Jay Taylor. Saucy, you say? Fashion can mean a lot of things to a lot of different people, but to Kyris Brown of Kyris Customs, fashion is family and love. You ready? Well, tune in. Let's go get some napkins dirty. Kyris.
My guy.
How you doing, man?
Jay Taylor, I'm good, man.
Yeah,
Good
how you
to be
feeling?
Seen. Good to be seen, man. I feel like a look. So if you're a hater, then you know,
Yeah.
that speak for itself.
Yeah. Well, if you feel how you look, man, you looking saucy, brother.
Likewise,
I
man.
got to give it to you. I
Likewise.
like the whole combination you got here.
I appreciate it. By accident, but intentionally, we coordinate.
Oh yeah.
So this is meant to be.
Maybe it was by accident. Maybe it was by accident. Well, before we jump into this, let me do a little bragging on this brother. I'm sitting with Kyris Brown. He's a designer and tailor, and from our previous conversations, this brother can do and is knowledgeable on just about everything on the spectrum. So, my brother, did I miss anything?
Man, we'll feel everything in between.
Okay.
Yeah, I appreciate it though, man. I was looking for a band behind you, with the introduction.
Here you go. You're a jokester. You're a joke. It's gonna be a good combo.
I got a good sense of humor, man.
It's gonna be a good combo.
Yeah.
Well, let me pop it off like this then, man. So, random question. You stranded on an island. Right? 2 albums, 1 movie. Tell me what you bringing.
Man, that's tough, man, because I'm a very multifaceted, multicultural person, man. I'm very well read. But if I could choose 2 albums, Sade, greatest hits of Sade all time. Sade is my favorite artist, all time favorite artist. Another album, Dead Prez, Let's Get Free. Dead Prez, Let's Get Free. It's very symbolic to me upon graduating from high school. So those 2. Movies wise, I have a few favorite movies. I have a top 3, but something just to remind me of my mother, I'll say The Color Purple.
Oh, wow.
It's not my favorite movie,
Okay.
but it's my mom's favorite movie.
Okay.
Just so I can have some memories of my mother and some childhood memories as well. So I say The Color Purple, which is a funny movie. When I was young, I'm like, man, this is treacherous. But as you got older, you kind of saw the comedy within, the hardships, as far as that movie. So I say Sade, greatest hits, Dead Prez, far as albums, and then movie-wise, The Color Purple, around me and my mom.
Why Sade?
Man, so Sade is probably the only human being on this planet that'll probably make me nervous. Not because of her looks.
Crush?
I would say more so, not necessarily a crush. I mean, my wife's my crush. That's a good answer.
That's a great answer.
Yeah, right.
That's a great answer. We got a media train.
But I would just more so say, man, her tenor voice, some of her songs, but also it brings me back to when I was a kid. It's very nostalgic for me. You know, her music is very euphoric. So I would definitely say that album, as far as her greatest hits compilation. Reason being is because it just brings back a lot of memories, and it's not more so because of attractiveness. She is, an attractive woman, but it's just more so her. You know, her vibe is really my whole persona. I'm very laid back, very chill, very euphoric. You know, I'm a very easygoing person, so that's why she's one of my favorite artists, for the most part. And I've met a lot of important people. I know a lot of important people.
Yeah.
I don't get starstruck. I was fortunate to kind of be around people on TV as young, being who my folks were. So we traveled a lot. So I really, to impress me, man, you had to come down with the extraterrestrials in a hovercraft for me to be like, really Sade the only person that can do that.
We got a lot to uncover there, but I wanna ask you a question. So when we talked, you told me you was a 61 baby. I was like, 61 baby, huh?
Yeah.
I got people from up in the Delta too.
Okay.
So man, I did a little research on you, and word on the street is that you used to be hot back in the day, man. Is that fair? Used to be a ladies' man per se.
Former hot boy. I ain't gonna speak too much on it too. Just respect for my wife, but she know what it is.
Fair enough.
But no, I mean, honestly, I was very popular, not by choice. Because honestly, man, growing up, I was a shy kid. I'm very much an introvert.
Okay.
If I don't got to deal with people, I don't want to deal with people. I had to force myself through other vehicles as fashion, sports, martial arts, to basically grow into having people skills. Because I have a large family.
Okay.
And then my family, as the old saying goes, boy, you don't need no friends, you got cousins.
Yeah, I feel
So,
that.
I had a huge family, grew up in a blended family, but I had family all across the country, all across the world. So, as
Let's
a kid,
talk a little bit about your family then. So it sounds like you're about to talk to your childhood a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, country boy from the Mississippi Delta, mama's side by way of Mount Bayou in Winstonville, first established town founded by slaves. I take pride in that. A lot of people think about Tulsa, Oklahoma, but, Mount Bayou is really one of the first Black Wall Streets, It's honored in the Mississippi, African American Museum, as well as in the African American Museum that's in Washington, D.C. Those are my roots.
Okay.
From my great grandfather, to my great grandmother, so I take pride and ownership in being where I'm from. Mom got married when I was roughly 5. We moved to Cleveland, stayed on the east side, went to Eastwood, Cypress Park, Eastwood, went to American Science School, Hayes Cooper, for about 6th or 7th grade.
Oh, okay.
And then went back to Eastwood, went to Eastwood, then I went to East Side, graduated 2001. My high school is almost cult-like. We take pride and ownership of being East Side Trojans. Our school was consolidated with our rival school, Cleveland High, forced by the Supreme Court back in 2017 because no white student has ever graduated from our high school. Matter of fact, I'll probably be the lightest thing that ever walked the East Side. But I'm light, bright, damn sure not white.
Yeah.
But for the most part, those are my roots. But my family, man, I grew up in a very...
What were you like as a child?
Pretty much the same, man. Even though, like I said, I was shy. You know what I mean? Like, I'm a mama's boy.
Okay.
I take pride in being a mama's boy. The reason why I wanted to have a daughter, which, I have a daughter, is because a daughter would be the closest thing to a mother's love. So that's why I always wanted to have a daughter. But I'm real big on family. But I was shy, but I was still more so rambunctious. When I came into my own, I think Tip had a bar when he said, I've been popular since kindergarten.
Yeah.
Right?
You
That's
felt that.
probably the truth, but more so because of my looks, stereotypically. But honestly, man, I was a shy child growing up. But baseball, basketball, martial arts, fashion, that kind of, broke me out of my shell.
So a lot of questions there. So you said baseball, football, fashion, martial arts. So you did a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, as any kid would, man.
How did you transition in? How did you transition into fashion?
Man, this food looks so good. We got to tie into it.
It does.
So my family, so you know how you have families who are musically inclined, athletically inclined. My family was definitely fashionably inclined. You know, my great grandfather, you know, always used to say there's three things when people see you for the first time, what they recognize. That's your race, your gender, and what you got on. Mm-hmm. So you got to represent all three at all times very well. So you know, my mom, my grandmother, my my whole family, they just took pride in their appearance. And you know, as I got older, and I was a decent athlete.
Yeah.
And you know, I did get distracted. However, outside of, you know, sports, you either have to go and train by yourself, and that's something you want to have to do, right, to get better. You got to put on clothes every day.
Yeah, fair enough.
So the fashion stuck with me because it's something I had to do every day. So, you know, being groomed, being presentable, knowing different things when it comes to etiquette as far as dressing, it's something, it came to me naturally. But it also was a forefront within my family.
Yeah.
Not only on my mom's side, but my dad that raised me, but also my biological father, which, you know, he's world renowned as far as Jack State being the cleanest man that ever walked on Jack State campus.
Word.
Well, that was, you know,
that's what they say.
That was given to him when he retired after, you know, I guess 38 years at Jack State back in 2008.
Oh, he worked there?
Yeah, my dad was a
nice.
dean. My biological father was a dean. He retired as a dean, but he was known for his dress outside of how he treated people, which is very, very well. You know, my dad, he's a legend, you know, at Jack State.
Well, I got to ask you this question before I ask you the next one, but you talked a little bit about growing up and your appearance and your look and stuff like
Sure.
that. Has anybody ever called you vain?
Well, you know, I had the unpopular stereotypes of being stuck up as a kid, which was very unfair because I was introverted. I wasn't stuck up. I was just not afraid of people, but I just, you know, outside of my family, I didn't have to deal with no one. So, you know, I had the stereotypes of being stuck up when in actuality, I was just an introvert. I was a shy kid. So not necessarily, you know, being shy. However, I'm one of the most humble people. I'm one of the most humble people that you ever meet. I think I've always said this: being humble is one of the most intimate relationships one can have with the Creator, because being humble, it puts you in a position where you can see things before it happens, and when things happen, you can process and extract the good from the bad, right? But I'm one of the most confident people that you ever meet as well, and like Muhammad Ali, which is one of my top 6, you know, favorite athletes.
Muhammad.
He always said, you know, it ain't bragging if you can bag it up.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Where does the confidence come from? Where does it derive from?
I would say, you know, parents. You know, I would say mom. For my mom, if she dropped me off anywhere, she always told me 2 things: be obedient and do your best. And that has always set the precedence on how I live my life, where if I approach anything, I'm very confident of being knowledge-based in it, knowing my craft and knowing what I can bring to the table to doing what I need to do. That's confidence, you know. And if I might drop a line of talking shit here and there, you know, I think Coach Sanders, Mr. Sanders Dion says, you know, don't let my confidence be your insecurity. And even before I read that or him saying that, that's what I felt. Which, you know, shout out to Coach Sanders. You know, he's one of my top 6 athletes of all time too.
Okay.
With Muhammad Ali. But you know, I mean, I'm very confident in what I can do, man. You know, if you don't believe in you, you're gonna believe in you. You know.
And I like something you said inside of that. You said you spoke to the point of just being confident, but also, right, having some insecurities. What's something Kyris is insecure about?
And so my only insecurity growing up was being light-skinned.
Okay,
right?
Explain.
I mean, first coming from Mississippi Delta, ain't too many light-skinned people in Mississippi Delta. Just breaking it down statistically, Mississippi is a high concentration of black people in the United States. The highest concentration of black people in Mississippi is where I'm from, in the Mississippi Delta. So you're talking about people who are not descendants of immigrants on the black side. Majority of these people we're talking about are descendants of slaves, right? Like my side. My great-grandmother 4 times was a slave from Wilcox County, Alabama. They migrated over to Mississippi in the late 1800s after emancipation, right? So me being light-skinned was really my only insecurity because my mom is your complexion. My great-grandmother is blacker than this right here. And she just passed, last July.
Sorry.
And my grandmother was your complexion, but we got a little few things down. Even my father, my biological father, who was light skinned, he's darker than me. Yeah. So that was really my only insecurity growing up until I realized through my father that raised me that black is the essence of color and it makes all colors. And that's what really kind of gave me the confidence. I'm like, hey, it's okay to be light skinned.
That's a bar.
It's okay to be light skinned. But I'm the lightest nigga. I'm the lightest, blackest nigga you ever meet. You know what I'm saying? And people that know me would tell you that.
I used to hate, to your point, man, you talk about insecurities. I wasn't necessarily insecure about being light skinned, but I used to hate being called red, bro.
So there's some ownership in being called red boy or red bone. Mm-hmm. Because I can come down and break into my history and geography interests and love, where their red bone terminology comes from descendants or aboriginals of people who were here in North America. So a lot of people have, I don't want to get too deep in this, but a lot of people have, this understanding that we all got here through the transatlantic slave trade from West Africa over to the Americas. The fact is, black people have been circumnavigating the planet, specifically over here in the Americas, thousands of years before Columbus got here. Mm-hmm. So when the Spaniards, as far as the Spanish, the French, the Portuguese came over here and then started to enslave us, they started enslaving black people who were already here, right? So going back, making a long story short, and short story short, red bone is a terminology or a term who were original black people or aboriginals who was already here in the Americas. So that's one of the words where red bone, one of the definitions where red bone comes from, because my mom would be considered a red bone. When you look at my mom has a very red skin. You can tell she's black, but in certain months, to say now, her skin, will be like very, I would say, copperish. Like Mississippi red clay.
I got you.
For the most part.
Man, that's some interesting stuff you're telling me about, like the history of red bone and all of that.
Yeah.
How do you know that? I guess
so I'm a very inquisitive person, man. I was a very inquisitive child. Mm-hmm. So I used to ask a lot of questions. That's why my dad that raised me wanted to be an attorney, because I was always asking questions. And even, my godfather, like my second uncle, Hal Dawkins, he's one of the most, revered attorneys, in Mississippi, specifically in Jackson. I think I could have been a hell of an attorney, but I just had a lot of questions growing up, and I still do. When I approach certain things, I don't approach it with a judgmental, already biased, approach. I ask everything with a question mark. One of the attorneys who was with Jenny Cochran, that was on OJ's trial, he has this famous quote saying that mathematicians and scientists, 2 + 2 = 4. Mm-hmm. But in law, 2 + 2 means between 2 and between 2.
I got you. To get the 4.
What I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right? So I've always had that approach, man. And plus, the room that I grew up in was more so the family library. So, there was books on Black history, medical books, social science books, I had a globe in my room. I had atlases. Me and my brother Corey on our, trips as a family, we would be the ones with the atlases telling, our dad, what I'm saying, where to go. So, I've always just had an approach of always asking questions. So I know a lot of these things because first, history is one of my passions, geography as well. My biological father was a history major, was a history teacher before he went over to Jackson State. My father that raised me, who, professionally was a medical doctor, he's big on history too. So it goes back to the confidence. The reason why I'm confident is because I know who I am. I know my people. I know where I'm from. I know my lineage. So when you know yourself, you're confident with who you are. So I know a lot of these things because I'm a student. Even though I may be a master of what I'm doing or I may be a perfectionist in my craft, I'm always taking a position as a student to anything that I approach because I don't approach anything like I know it all.
Sure.
So, those are some of the reasons why I know a lot of this stuff.
And you gave me a lot in that, but before we keep going, I want to address the obvious thing in front of the food.
Sure. Oh, yeah.
So is BarrelHouse, you mentioned it to me, you and your wife come here quite a bit, right? Or used to it?
Yeah. So, pandemic, my wife's a doctor, she's a dentist, but my wife is, she's asthmatic. So, she takes a lot of precautions as well as, we have a child. So, we do both take precautions. But yeah, we visited and have, been patrons of this place a few times. We haven't been here recently, but the grand opening shortly after. And we've caught lunch a few times here. So the food is decent, man. Good Mississippi catfish. You can't.
I was just gonna ask you, what do you think about the? What do you think about?
Well,
the food?
I'm a Delta. I'm from the Delta. I'm a Mississippi country boy, so I know catfish. Because I can literally take a catfish out of the water, Mississippi River or pond, fillet it, gut it, do everything, drop it in hot grease. I know I do all that from the jump. So fish is pretty good.
A different catfish. And we were talking to the manager on staff today, and he was showing us around and just kind of telling us the history of the place, how it got the name BarrelHouse and all of that. So, I think it's a real good date spot. I think it's a real good spot, and you have almost kind of confirmed that just saying you and your wife came here quite a bit.
Yeah.
So.
Fondren, man. I remember being here, just say 10 years ago, and only a few things that were here was Kyris A and Napkins. Other than that, you had Walkers. Other than that, all the development that's around here, it wasn't here. You had Cups. You had the herbs place not too far. I think it was Natural Groceries. Excuse me if I'm, not putting the name in the proper context, but to see what it is, it's nice over here in the Fondren district for real. And BarrelHouse is, the aesthetics, and the ambiance. When you can park your car on a Friday or Saturday night and you can just walk around and go bowling and go eating and go here, go there. That's very good for Jackson.
Right.
And I'm happy for Jackson as well as downtown Jackson.
Yeah, I agree. And this place got an amazing whiskey menu from what they've told me, beer menu. All the customers, we talked to a few customers here. You saw that.
Yeah.
All of them had nothing but good things to say also. So.
Yeah.
Soul is history that moves you, saying, remember this day. Soul is the spirit inside each of us that never gives up. Soul is a voice that says, listen to me. Discover our history, our spirit, our soul in Jackson, Mississippi, the city with soul.
So this is for me and the entire team here at Dirty Napkins.
Thank you. It's my favorite color too.
We knew that.
Ooh, awesome. Thank you. Yes, I love my t-shirt.
Thank you, and congratulations on everything y'all are doing. I only hear great things about this show, so I appreciate you having me on. Thank you, Jim.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you. I will definitely rock it.
But thanks for talking to me about that a little bit. I want to talk a little bit more about your profession, right?
Sure.
So I wanted to get to know you a little bit, and I got more questions there. But let's dive into what you do, right?
Sure.
You told me a little bit. You use the word tailor with caution. Can you explain that?
I mean, so when you're throwing the word tailor around, man, you're really talking about seasoned men and women who've been making clothes for 30, 40 plus years. And being that I'm not even quite at that age, I'm very cautious on, using that word as tailor, even though I know how to make clothes. But when you're talking about master tailors, you're talking about people who've been doing this majority of their whole lives. So just out of reference and respect, I just show respect to the word. Even though, I've been around clothes my whole life. I've been messing with clothes since I was a child. I went to school for this. I have 2 degrees in this. I'm still cautious on using the word tailor because it's a word almost kind of like president, almost like governor. Those are words that you have to be, voted and more so earned as far as those titles in a sense. So that's why I use it with caution, but I'm growing. Yeah, I take pride in that.
Now, why don't you like to? I was trying to figure out how am I going to introduce Kyris, right? And I asked you. I said, hey, I want to say tailor. I want to say interior. Well, I can't remember what I said. Maybe I said designer or fashion consultant. I think image consultant is what I said. Image consultant. You was like, no, I don't want to be an image consultant.
I don't want to be an image.
Talk to that.
The reason being is because I would get inquiries, I would get phone calls for people who first, if they don't want to solicit, my services, they will want me to put an ensemble or an outfit for them. I'm not a stylist. I'm actually a person who creates art when it comes to clothing. So that's one reason. The other reason is people who do solicit my services, but they're not confident in knowing what they want, they would say, hey, just make me something. And early on, I got caught in doing things for people, but when it comes back, they don't like it. So that means they don't want to pay. And
how you handle situations like that?
Well, it depends on the situation, on a case-by-case basis. They were very few because I'm a person, I have a short curve of learning. I learn very fast. I adapt and overcome very quickly. But, you necessarily, when you fall into things like that, you have to be very cautious because you don't want to basically have a bad reputation, because in service, everybody, listen, I'm not the only person that do this.
Yeah.
Right? I have confidence that I'm very good at what I do because I know I do it. But the reason why people solicit my business is because I treat them well, right? I treat them well. I provide a service, right? I educate them, right? And then my pricing, you get what you pay for, right? So the reason why I take ownership and pride on educating and being professional with my clients is because I want them to spread my name in a good way, but also I want them to be repeat customers. And that's the difference between people having successful businesses and not successful businesses, right? This is kind of like the old mom and pop store, right? They got good soul food, right? Very small, got nasty attitudes, but the food good. You're more than likely, you're gonna eat there because the food good, but you're not gonna consistently go there because you don't want to be put up with the attitudes, right? In comparison to a place, just say a Capitol Grill, right? Or Maestros or Mastros, right? When you ask to go to the restroom, they don't point to the restroom, they literally usher you and they walk you to the restroom.
Sure.
That's customer service.
So the service is important to you.
It's very important. My biological father, he taught me one of the most grand things that I still use to this day. He told me when I was a teenager, he was like, Kyris, as long as you genuine and you sincere to people and you treat them right, you'll never have a want in life. You'll never have a want, And I still believe that to this day. We're all virtues. We're all Christians by virtue. We should, because we want to treat our neighbor like we want to be treated, right? We're all Muslims by virtue.
Are you very religious?
I'm not religious, I'm very spiritual, even though I know the 3 Abrahamic religions very, very well.
What's the difference in the two, right? You hear people say, oh, I'm religious or I'm spiritual. What would, in your opinion?
With spirituality is the mother of all religions. See, religion is man-made. Spirituality is the essence. Dr. Booker T. Coleman or Dr. Kamba, he has this quote saying that spirituality is unseen science, and science is spirituality. Meaning, we know what the wind is, we know why it blows, but we can't understand the essence on what creates the wind, right?
That's solid.
Meaning that we're one within all. Meaning that everything you see that is living, that is God. That is the manifestation within God. Anything that can create is God, right? Just like in the scripture of the Bible, it says we are many gods.
Yeah.
You know, because we're able to create and destroy. But saying that is, you know, in Islam, the word Islam means peace. And a man and woman's true nature is to be peaceful. So we're all, you know, Islam by nature. We're all Muslim by nature. We're all Christians by nature. We're all Jews by nature, you know. So that's on a whole nother tangent,
Yeah.
but long story short, when it comes to dealing with people, providing services for people, you treat them right. You don't pickpocket. You don't money count, right? You utilize what you have and you under promise and over deliver.
Sure.
Right?
Sure,
Right?
fair. I like that terminology.
And that's how you get repetitive business when you treat people right. And I'm big on that.
And you told me you're a very black and white guy. You're like, not much gray area with me.
Not too much, man.
What pisses you off?
People that use people, misuse people.
Explain.
Let me quote that. Let me retract that.
Take your time.
People that misuse people. Like, I'm a vehicle. If I can help, I want you to use me, but don't misuse me, right? So one of my pet peeves are people who misuse people. You know, people. I said this not too long ago on Instagram. I read this passage many years ago, and it stuck with me. We do things out of 2 reasons. We do things out of love, or we do things out of fear.
Okay.
There's no in between. When we do things out of love. So if I do a good deed to someone, I'm not looking for anything in return. I've made mistakes in my life, you know. It's some things that I've done and I'm not proud of. However, I've done a lot of things that I'm not ashamed of. Can't nobody on this planet shame me because I've never done anything that's shameful, right? But I have made mistakes because we all short of the glory, right? However, when you do things out of fear, you doing things in a survival scarcity mindset, right? And one thing, because I practice the law of attraction a lot.
Oh, you do?
Oh, okay. Yes, I love the law of attraction. I have books on the law of attraction, and I've done these things before I even knew what the law of attraction was, right? And when you do things, you don't expect anything in return. You do them out of good deeds. You know, as the saying goes, what goes around comes around. That's not a religious term. That's a scientific term. Yeah. Meaning you sow, you reap what you sow. So that seed that you plant to the ground, if you nurture and care for it and cultivate it, it's gonna basically bring a harvest. Yeah. That's good or bad. So you go out here instead of mistreating people, doing bad business with people, being a slime ass motherfucker. What you think you gonna get? Yeah. Internally or externally, right? Yeah. So I pride myself, man, on treating people right, man, because that's how I want to be treated. And if you don't treat me right, if you don't bring me no physical threat initially, then I will remove myself from the situation, you know, because that's how I operate, you know.
So to use your logic, right, ashamed versus just not proud of something. Right. When you think back on your life, right, what's something maybe from the past that you are not the most proud of?
You know, I'm polished now, and I'm steady polishing myself. But you know, I've done some things that I'm not proud of that has not been a reflection on my upbringing, my parents, right? You know, my upbringing, for the most part, man, very blue collar, white collar, middle class people. But I do have some people in my family who, you know, have, you know, moved in the underworld. And one thing that has always positioned me to not really, I would say, be led astray is because I've always checked my vices. And my only vice, a lot of vices, people have drug
You beat me
problems.
to the question.
Right.
You beat me to the question.
So
I know you got vices,
yeah,
right?
I have vices, and I'm finna tell you what they are.
Uh-huh.
Well, what one is.
Okay.
People have alcohol problems. People have women and men problems, right? Or vulgar digging pussy problems. People have drug problems, which tie into alcoholism. People have gambling problems. Out of all those vices, I never had those vices. I've only had a money problem. That was my vice. And through certain avenues for me to actually accumulate money, as long as it didn't go outside of my moral compass, I would try to get a dollar by any means.
But what do you think those money problems stem from?
Well, I wouldn't say problems.
Well, money vices.
I would say conquest.
Okay, your
Right.
conquest for paper.
Yeah, so I mean, my father that raised me, man, he would come and he would show my brothers, you know, me, my brother Corey, my brother Mark. You know, I remember one year when I was a kid, man, my dad that raised me showed me how he was gonna make $1 million that year. Told me what he was gonna do from his practice, told me what he was gonna do from outside ventures, told me what he was gonna do from here, right?
Did he do it?
Of course he did it. Of course he did it. I've also saw one of my cousins, my cousin Kyris, showed me my first tangible $1 million, right? Like $1 million.
Okay.
You know, not like my dad and them on paper of checks. I'm talking about $1 million cold cash. I'm talking about Floyd Mayweather before Floyd Money Mayweather.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
So you driven by that?
I'm driven by that because money brings comfort. A lot of people got this thing that money can buy happiness. Money can't buy happiness.
Yeah.
Money buys pleasure.
Fair
There's a
enough.
very thin line.
Fair enough. I was going to debate that.
There's a very thin line between happiness and pleasure.
Okay.
But see, this is true happiness. When I drop my daughter off at school every morning and she smile and wave bye-bye, can't no amount of money pay her to do that. That brings me happiness.
So since money is your vice, what are your
Well,
thoughts? Was your vice. Okay. What are your thoughts then on money money being the root of all evil?
Well, people misquote that because the love of money is the root of all evil, not money. Money is a tool just like a hoe, a hammer, a drill, a vehicle. Money is a tool. It brings comfort, it brings security, it brings venture, it brings opportunity. That's what money does. So there's nothing wrong for wanting to get money, but it is something wrong if you love money, because that's the distraction. Because when you love money, that means that you will do anything to obtain it. But when you are loving your craft and doing what you need to do to produce money, there's nothing wrong for seeking out money. Because we do need money. It's a tool just like anything else.
So since that was your vice, and a lot of people are driven by their vices, me in particular, I'm driven by my vices. What drives you today?
My family's legacy.
Your family's legacy.
Yeah,
So what
since I was 15 years old, my family's legacy was to improve my family's legacy financially, spiritually, intellectually, and in health. That's my mission in life, is to improve my family's legacy.
What does legacy mean to you?
Legacy means that 200 years from now, my seed, my blood will still be producing and doing good things here on the planet. That's my legacy. Listen, man, my great-grandmother died last July. She was 97 years old.
It's a blessing.
Her great-grandmother was a slave. You see what I'm saying? So we talking about 2022, or just say when she died, 2021. we're talking about me living. This is one I used to sleep in the same bed with her until I was 5 years old. That I used to go on the bus routes with her. That I used to go with her when she cleaned banks, right? This is the same woman that her great-grandmother was a slave. So me and slavery are not too far apart. When I was born in the 80s. So when people think about their lives and their legacy, they think about 20 and 30 years from now. Man, I'm thinking about 200 years from now.
Sure.
You know? And my child now, Covey, you know.
It's your daughter's name?
Yeah, that's
Pretty
her name.
name.
Yeah, it comes from jovial, it means happy.
Yeah.
You know, her middle name is Cree, which means decree, you know, a solemn document.
And you said your first name
It's Kyris.
Yeah, and when you said it has some
It's
meaning
Greek.
to it, right?
Yeah, it's ancient Greek, means the essence or the measurement of time, means the time is the act now. It also means anointing. You know, it's almost like a title like Christ. And then my middle name is Amiel, or Amel, which is in Numbers chapter 13, verse 12. It's the son of Galami or Jemali, which one of the 12 spies, you know, who was sent by Moses to spy in the land of Canaan. But the word, when you break down, is Amiel, meaning God's nation, or people of God. So when you go against me, man, you're going against the Lord. That's why anybody that try to do anything to me malicious, their life is trash right now.
Oh, that's why. That's what it is.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So when you say Kyris, it's like Greek for the time is now, right?
Yeah.
The natural question has to be, what are you trying to build, right? With your clothing, with your custom suits, what are you trying to build? Like, what is that?
So, man, before I answer that, I really have to give you your flowers. You're a very great interviewer, man.
Thank
Like,
you.
you know,
Thank
I
you.
know you know your craft. I've done this a lot of times, here in state, out of state, but you're very good at what you do, man. Like, for real.
Thank
So keep it up. But ultimately, man, I mean, my vision is to build a brand that is accessible but not attainable to everybody. And the reason why I say that is not because I think I'm better, but I just know my target market. And I know the target in the market in which I'm actually trying to penetrate, have penetrated, and what I'm trying to sustain. So my brand is for, you know, the everyday common man, and also the white collar, you know, common man who is, you know, high level executive professional in whatever, you know, field that they're in. And I've done some women things too, but I'm just, you know, focusing on the men. So Don Juan Harrell with PRPs, he's one of my guys that I look up to.
Okay.
As long as we're for real. Those are some of my fashion influences, as well as my mom and then my biological father. But Ralph Lauren is one of the templates that I study. We can go right now and we can go and buy a Ralph Lauren in Jackson. However, you can't buy Purple Label around here, right? Mercedes-Benz, the C-Class, what pays the bills, but you're not getting no Maybach on sale.
Yeah, I feel
right?
that. I feel that.
So I have tried to position myself to make fine clothing specifically for African Americans, even though I have a broad. You know,
why is
clientele.
that important to you, though?
I mean, it's because my roots are tied to Mound Bayou, Winstonville, Mississippi, man. We're talking about the first established town founded by slaves. We're talking about, you know, the second black hospital, the first black swimming pool, insurance, banks, oil companies, right? We're talking about the essence of black in the segregated South. Not just the South, but we're talking about Mississippi. Those are my roots. So it's very important to me to try to show some example of black excellence, because the odds are stacked against us, man. Especially me, man. I'm from the Mississippi Delta, man.
Yeah.
Listen, man, I'm from the Delta. It's one. Listen, man, people have this thing thinking where when they move out of town, things gonna get better. But if you carry the same mindset out of town, ain't shit gonna get better for you.
I agree with that. Do you believe, and this is me going straight into this, do you believe in hometown hate?
Of course.
You do.
Listen, man.
Why so? How so?
Man, my number one 2, 3 markets are Dallas, Texas, New Orleans, Louisiana, and Las Vegas, Nevada. Listen, man, I got line brothers that I've probably only made 3 suits for.
Really?
Right?
What are, oh, Cap. I got
Straight
you.
new,
I
right?
got you. I got you.
Right? But I don't hold that against them because I tell everybody, listen, man, if you go into business thinking that you're gonna be successful because of your hot market, you're gonna fail miserably. There's a cold market, there's a hot market, right? Before I did any of this, I worked in insurance, sales. I worked on 100% commissions, where there's a distinguished parts of a hot market and a cold market. Your hot market is your family, everybody you know, the ones that's gonna buy from you immediately. The cold market is the guy that's pumping gas when you pull up to the gas station. For you to have a successful and a sustainable business, you have to know your cold market. You have to know your target market. So you're not gonna get that love from your hometown until the outsiders validate that you are who you are, and then your hometown are like, that's our people, man. I grew up with him. You know what I'm saying?
That's the game.
With it. But
That's
you can't
the game.
take that personal, man.
Yeah.
Listen, man.
Have you experienced it?
Of course. I'm telling you about it now. But do you think I care? No, I don't. I'm in year 10 almost, 11. Even though I've been doing it since I was a kid. But no, I'm still here because I don't pay any of that attention. Because I know my craft, I know my market, I know my mission. You know, and that's the difference between people who will last outside of people who are doing things for a hobby. A lot of people treat their business as a hustle instead of hustling in their business. It's a big difference.
That's insightful. I wanna, as I start to wrap this conversation up, you have a boutique that's about to open or just opened up or a shop or whatever.
So I have one now, but I'm transitioning to a larger space.
Thank you.
When I'm talking about it, it's grand.
Yeah.
It's grand.
Yeah. Can I buy that in there?
You can buy this in there.
Okay.
You can buy whatever you want in there.
I need that in like a 36, same shirt.
Minus the talking about off the measurement.
Okay.
I'm taking 20 measurements on you. You know what I mean? I'm going from the neck to the ankle. Or as the old folks say, from the ruby to the tootie.
You're gonna have me looking right.
You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, so my new shop, man, I'm in the process of transitioning to another showroom, a larger showroom. And I can't wait to unveil it, man. Like, you know, it's very special because it reflects on my growth, it reflects on my patience. A lot of people go out of business because they overextend themselves within the first time that they're open. See, a lot of people, when they start businesses, they want to start at the top of the mountain instead of the bottom of the valley. Because if you're on the top of the mountain, the only way you can go is down, or you just gonna stay at the top of the mountain.
Yeah, factual.
The love and the journey, I mean, the love and the process is in the journey of going up the mountain.
Yeah.
Right? And when you going up the mountain, that's where you have your corrections, right? Your failure, right? Speaking about failure, we're conditioned K through 12 to be perfect. One of the most embarrassing things as a kid was to be flunked or held back in school. But what that's conditioning you to K through 12, you are thinking you have to be perfect. So when we get out of the education system and graduate from high school, we go into college, we go into systems that allow us thinking that we have to be perfect. Meaning that what we really want to do, we're fearful of it because we're fearful that we're gonna fail. Failure is the greatest teacher. So my journey of going up this valley and up this mountain is my imperfections, my failures of being able to correct it, but I'm still going, man. I'm still going, right? And that's the journey, and that's the beauty in it.
And for the people on their journey, no matter the industry,
right?
What would you tell them? What advice would you give them?
Everybody ain't meant to do what they think they meant to do.
That's some real advice.
I told you I'm black
and white.
Man.
Fair
you know
enough.
what I mean? I ain't gonna fake it with you. And what I mean by that is because people think once they start an LLC, this is some magic potion, right?
Yeah.
But the work, the research, the study. Listen, man, I still love him to this day. But one of my mentors, I found the plug, and I brought it to him years ago. I said, "Hey, man, I can help you. Let's partner." He told me no. I didn't take it personal, but he also told me take it to the top. And I love him still to this day because he told me to take it to the top and he gave me his blessings. The person who was not equipped up here or in here, they would have took that personal and thought that the dude was hating on them. And they would have quit before they even started. But I took it and I said, all right, take it to the top. That's what I've been steadily trying to do.
Take it to the top.
Because there's somebody behind me that's gonna do it better than me.
That's gonna look at you and want to do it.
And that's how they supposed to do it. And I'm gonna give them all the game if they worthy. Because I don't waste my time. You know what I'm saying? I don't waste my time.
Your name say time. The time is now.
The time is now.
Yeah.
Like my name.
Yeah.
Time to act now. So, I pour into those who actually are worthy. And that's just what it is.
Well, Kyris, I'm gonna let you get out of here. But before we do, I got something for you from the crew.
Cool.
Want to gift you something. Here it is. So we have a shirt for you.
Oh man.
That's
I
from
get
here.
gifts.
Yeah, man. We try
Most
to be
of the time.
we try to be real hospitable, man.
Dirty
Try to be
napkins,
real
man.
hospitable, man. Yeah.
Well, I'm a country boy from the Delta, so I love to eat.
Yeah.
Even though I'm pretty conscious on what I put in my body.
Yeah.
But again, I appreciate you all. I appreciate your staff that's behind the camera. Y'all did a magnificent job. I told you all before the cameras were rolling. I'm gonna tell you while the cameras are rolling, what you all are doing is very unprecedented. You all are exposing the culture because Mississippi, we get a bad rap not knowing that the microcosm of the world is Mississippi.
For sure.
So I'm proud of y'all and I congratulate y'all. I commend you all in any way I can help. I'm here for you all. So thank y'all, man, for this interview and this exposure and also to sit down and talk to you, man. I'm grateful.
And I appreciate the kind words. We appreciate the flowers. And I got a question for you before we let you go,
Sure.
right? What does influence mean to you?
Removing social media influence is leading by example and is leading in the right direction. And I say that because I'm a pre-social media baby. I grew up without the internet, meaning without social media. The first social media as far as Facebook came when I was in college.
Yeah.
And you had to be in college to be on Facebook.
With a college email address.
Right.
I remember
That's
that
how
too.
old I am.
Yeah,
Right.
factual.
So pre-social media, man, influence is leading by example.
Gotcha.
And is leading in the right direction.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? That's true influence.
And speaking of that, before I let you go, just tell us where we can find you, where you would like the people to find you,
Sure.
who want to follow you.
Man, Instagram is one of my, most notable, avenues or platforms you can find me. At Kyris Customs, KYRISKUSTOMS. Phone number 504-451-4886. Website the same, www.kyriscustoms.com. All of my information on there as far as email, phone number. I'm located based in Jackson, not a retail space, appointment only. Therefore, I don't waste my time. You don't waste your time. And that's where I'm at, man.
Fair love. Well, Kyris, it's been all love, brother. And I appreciate it, my man.
I appreciate you too, man.
For sure, baby.
All right.
Yeah. We hope you enjoyed our interview with Kyris Brown of Kyris Customs. Special thanks to David Moncrief for allowing us to take a look inside BarrelHouse here in the Fondren district. We were able to get a glimpse inside the food, drinks, and vibe. Thank you to our sponsors. Your contribution allows us to make an impact in the local community that matters the most to us. Be sure to follow us on all social media platforms at Dirty Napkins. Until next time, it's your host, Jay Taylor.